Good morning. Today is Wednesday, and we have Joe Tait's Twitter account up. We've had several questions if Joe is going to actually be on the Twitter, and we've decided instead of tweeting, it'd be better to hear Joe talk. Some of the notable followers are Vince Cellini, Michael Regai, John Telich, Bill Wills, Mike Snyder, Ken Carmen, who is on 92.3, supposedly has a great impression of Joe, as well as Scott Sable from Fox 8. So we're hoping that they will send their videos in of impressions of Joe. And without further ado, the guy that you would like to see the most would be Joe Tait. Good morning, Joe.
Good morning, Steve. What a lineup that was of people who have been at least passively interested in what we're doing. I must still admit I have no idea what we're doing, but fortunately I've got a guy who does know, and he suggested that we take a little time and mention some of the folks and some of the questions that were raised in our first week. For instance, we have Ronnie Grubbs, who checked in, and Ron was my engineer when I did the games up in Detroit involving the Pistons. It was really good to hear from him. A lot of people, of course, talk about the show that's coming up in December the 1st at the East Lake Community Center, and it's from 10 in the morning or 9 in the morning till 3 in the afternoon. I'll be there, and I'm looking forward to meeting a lot of the folks that have talked to us on this particular Twitter account. Elise Jackson talks about cassette tapes of me from the Rick Roberson days. Let me tell you something about Rick Roberson. He was the center, if you remember, back in the old days with the Cavaliers, and he allowed me, and this shows you how NBA basketball was back in the early 70s, he allowed me to take his game uniform, jersey and pants, and wear them to a Halloween party. I went as Rick Roberson, and then I cleaned them and gave them back to him, and when he put them on for the next game, he could be heard screaming in the locker room, "Tait stretched them totally out of shape." But I made a magnificent Rick Roberson. Here's Mike Paris mirroring what a lot of people said, that he first Twitter takes him back to his childhood. And, I go back to my childhood all the time, but that's because I'm 81 years old. And people talk about remembering 3WE 1100 with sneaking the transistor radio under my pillow on school nights. Back when I was a kid, listening to announcers in another era, I had to make sure you couldn't see the cord stretching from the plug across the pillow and under my head with the radio that needed power. We had no transistors back in those days. Listening to the Tri-City Blackhawks with some young upcoming coach named Red Auerbach guiding them on WHBF in Rock Island, Moline, Illinois. Eric Hogue, yes, he talks about the days down at WKLM, and he mentions one of the fellas that unfortunately is now gone, but was a man that I just really loved, and that was Jim Johnson from Radio Canton, who did 20 games a year for me for a couple of years when they dragged me kicking and screaming from radio on over to television. JJ was one of the real good people in the business. And they're talking about putting on a sweater to remind him of the old days. Well, hey, I drug out one of the old ones today and put it on just for the occasion. Although I got to start wearing them because I've got 80 sweaters back in the closet and in the dresser, and I better start wearing them while I still can. Michael Regai. I remember Michael. In fact, Michael was a buddy of mine through a lot of thick and thin in broadcasting. And I can remember our chats on the team bus waiting for the ball players to show up after a thorough thrashing on the road, trying to make sense out of it all. Regai was good people. They want me to come back and do some Cavs games? Not a chance, believe me. Those days are gone. Here's somebody, Stu Boyer, who remembers the Dick Bosman Mo hitter. You know, I had the great good fortune in my years with the Indians to do 3 no-hit games. Dick Bosman in 1974 against Oakland, and then the infamous no-hitter on my birthday, thrown by large Lenny Barker, and then the other one was Dennis Eckersley, who no-hit the California Angels before my days with the Indians were through. So 3 no-nos in 17 years wasn't a bad total. This is all brand new to me, folks. If you see me wandering around trying to figure out what I'm doing, it's because I've never done this before. Oh yeah, here's Dan Goswick. I remember when he did play-by-play and sidelines for Mount Union on the campus radio station, WRMU. I still listen to you guys on Saturday afternoon via the telephone. And he said that he listened to me. That's only fair. So what can I tell you? There have been some names of interest, some names of note, but the people I enjoy hearing from the most are the people whom I've never met, who remember me from my days play-by-play, radio, or with the Indians or the Cavaliers. So that's it, folks. We're just getting started. As more questions come popping in, I'll try to dig out an answer or two. And in the meantime, have a good night, everybody.